So the homie who remains nameless to this day, we was cruising, doing our thing, and I'm flamed up for whatever reason. I don't remember why. I'm trying to look good or whatever. But I'm flamed up, and they try to pull us. And the homie tells me, I ain't stopping. I said, you ain't stopping? He said, no, I ain't stopping. I said, well, let me stuff this real quick, and I'm gonna jump out. He goes, okay, cool. He goes, do what you gotta do. So I stuff it. I said, pull over. And I jump out, put my hands up. Cop pulls up. It's Tony from the task force. Says, Big Perm, what you doing? Said, man, I'm just cruising. You know what I mean? Just cruising, doing my thing. He said, well, where'd your friend go? He didn't want to talk to me, huh? The homeboy was gone. Homeboy dipped on him. I said, man, I don't know. I met that dude at the bar, man. That dude was tripping. He said he didn't want to talk to y'all. I said, well, let me out the car. And he said, is that right, huh? He said, so you don't got no idea who that is? I said, man, I ain't got no idea who that is. To this day, I ain't got no idea who that is. And he says, I feel you. He goes, I think that you do know who that is. He said, but I'm gonna let it go. He said, you know why I pulled you over? I said, nah, no idea. He said, are you kidding me? He goes, I'm not even with the task force no more. He said, I'm with gang unit now. What the fuck is this? And I had all that red on. And ever since then, I tend to dress a lot more like a square. Just as time has gone on, I try to dress more like I just blend in. Because I don't want them messing with me. You know what I mean? But yeah, I pretty much stopped wearing red that day. Damn near. As far as being... I remember what I had on. I had on a black tank top and a long sleeve red shirt with a black and red Boston hat. And some black and red Jordan shorts on. And so I was just all the way. My best friend, whenever I was 14, he went to California. They invited him to California. One of the homies invited him to California. And when he went out, he had saved up. He wanted to like spend money whenever he was out there. He's like, oh, I want to make sure I got money so I could ball out or whatever. So he'd saved out like $200, right? He was 15 years old and saved up like $200. Well, whenever he got out there, they refused to let him pay for anything. Wasn't allowed to pay for anything. So he come back and he had the $200. And he said, or he comes back and he says, well, I still got all the money, dog. What do you want to do? I said, well, I want to ball out, homie. You know what I mean? What are we going to do? We got to make an investment. So we called a homegirl, Angie B. Now, believe it or not, Angie B is the same woman who introduced me to Who Ride. That's how I know Who Ride. That's how old these relationships. I'm talking 14 years old. So we called Angie B. Because Angie B had the weed. We already knew she did. You know what I mean? This is all brick weed back then. So we called her up and we said, we got 120. We need 2 ounces. So she brought us 2 ounces of weed. And I took all of this weed. By this time, I'm about 15 and he's about 16. I take this weed, I bag it up in all these little like nickels and dimes and shit like that. And I head downtown. And I'm hitting every day, selling out every day in the park, in the Civic Center Park downtown, dog, for like 2-3 weeks. And I turn this 2 ounces into maybe 6 or 7 ounces. We've got almost a half a pound or something like that. And we start diversifying. We start buying cocaine. And then we get it. Then he gets a job at Dairy Queen. And then he starts selling coke to the people at Dairy Queen. And this is all happening over like the course of like 12 months. Then he gets me a job at Dairy Queen. And then he goes next door. As soon as he turns 16, he's allowed to get a job at MCI, which is right next door. You could be a telemarketer at 16 back then. I don't know what it is now, but back then you could be a telemarketer at 16. So he jumped ship from Dairy Queen, and I'm robbing Dairy Queen blind. And he jumped ship over to MCI. So now he's selling coke. And we're both pretty much sober at the time. Like, We smoke weed, but that's pretty much it. So he jumped ship over there, and the coke is just flying, right? He's just slinging coke just like it's hot off the shelves. He's meeting him in the bathroom. All these corporate people are just loving him. He's like an on-site drug dealer. And within a year's time of him coming back from California with that $200, we moved out into our own apartment. We had enough money to bribe his aunt, who needed a place to stay anyways. She was an old biker chick. Bribed her to go rent us an apartment and put it in her name. And then that was it. We were off and running. He was 16 and I was 15 whenever we moved out.